As you walk around Avalon, there's a very distinctive style that dates back to the 1920s. It's the ceramic tile. And there's an artist on the island that's working to restore many of the original artworks. And today I'm headed over to the Silver Canyon Pottery Studio to learn more about this historical art form. Hey, Robin!
Didi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to Silver Canyon Pottery.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I found you. I heard that there was this woman on the island that is keeping the history of pottery alive.
One tile at a time.
One tile at a time, indeed. Robin has been creating beautiful tiles and mosaics on the island for over 25 years. And while this was an art form that William Wrigley Jr. had established on Catalina with the opening of his tile and brick factory in 1927, it is a passion and tradition that lives on through Robin's many works. You've been on the island quite some time, and you're truly keeping the art of pottery alive and the history of pottery. Why are you so passionate about it?
Well, I was lucky enough to be raised here on the island. Not lucky enough to be born, but lucky enough to move here as a child, and just really falling in love with the fact that the tile is what makes Catalina, Catalina, and you know, really believing that clay is always reflective of the area where it is used and mined, and just really feeling a part of that bigger history is important, and I think to be able to preserve it for folks coming over here, and it's something they don't expect when they step off that boat, and then they'll always say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much there was this beautiful tile over town, and other artisans that have contributed to it over time. The studio today is located in an area of Pebbly Beach where the original factory was actually. And
the Wrigley factory?
The actual Wrigley factory, and it was quite a large factory, being a full, you know, brick factory for its time. Once Wrigley was done building the town, it didn't make economic sense probably to export the brick. You know, it was going to be expensive for anybody on the mainland. And so that's when he decided to do the pottery factory, really for reasons of keeping people employed in the wintertime, having this export product. It was the style of the times.
Over the course of a decade, the factory produced many practical and beautiful pieces, including 80,000 roof tiles for the iconic casino.
But when he started to use the local clay, he realized very quickly that it was poor clay quality. It's a very low fire earthenware. You can't get this very hot before the silica, the glass former, melts and makes a strong, non-chippable body. And so he had to start importing clay from the mainland. So what's fun about the archaeological stuff is that you can see the progression of that, where you can take a piece and it's kind of hard to tell, but this is a little bit lighter. And what he did was he was bringing over some imported clays from the mainland, trying to solve the problem as much as he could, eventually realizing that this was a problem that was not very easy to solve except by importing the really high-priced clay bodies from the mainland.
Oh, interesting.
So you can see
the three different tones
you
right
can
there.
see the three different tones in progression over time, where I can tell that that's very old. It's very dark.
Would you say this is from the island, this clay?
Oh, yes, this is from the island. This probably is a blend. You know, potters are always, you know, trying a little bit at a time, problem solving to, you know, correct any errors, and eventually this would have been all from the mainland. There's some very small deposits of some white clay bodies, but for the most part, this would have been completely imported.
I'm so glad you're keeping the art of pottery alive. It's so evident when you walk downtown and you see all the mosaic tile. It's just beautiful. Are we going to be able to make some today?
Absolutely. We are all set up and ready for you.
Let's do it.
Okay. Didi, welcome to the main production shop here. Here's where all the magic happens. We have Jennifer back here glazing up some tiles for production.
Hey, Jennifer.
And in front of us is absolutely everything we're going to need to make a tile. All we need is a plaster press mold, a simple clay cutter. In the event that somebody doesn't have something like this, you could easily use a piece of dental floss. All I'm going to do is place it across my block of clay and cut off my clay pad. And real simply here, the surface of the clay, which we want to be nice and smooth, might have a few minor scratches in it. So all I'm going to do is tuck my fingers in, take my thumb, and just in an overlapping grid pattern, sort of smooth out the surface. All I need to do is turn it over, place it down, pat gently in the middle to set it against the mold, and roll the edges in to make sure that I have enough material above the cavity where the tile is being formed. Then all you need to do is grab a piece of plastic. I just use the clay bags that the clay comes in, cut into squares for this, makes the perfect material. Potters are famous for making materials and tools out of what they have around them. Place it on top. You've got a nice rubber mallet there, and we're just going to hit the surface somewhere between a tap and a hammer and work it all the way around the outside. 1 or 2 passes through is all you need. You just want to make sure you get every part. Simply peel off your plastic here. Here I have just a small section of board here. In order to keep my tile square, I'm going to just turn it on the diamond so one of the corners is pointing towards my belly button. And I'm not going to try to take all that clay off at once. That would be working way too hard. I'm just going to go up about 2 inches on that diagonal. I can wiggle my stick back and forth a little bit. My thumbs right at the little V. Give a squeeze, and off that extra clay is going to come. One small step we do, just to release the tension that might have built up from the scraping in the clay, is a little massage just to release all the tension and not crack it. And Dee Dee, that's pretty much it.
We then set our tiles out in the sun for about 10 minutes, turn them out of their molds, and place them in the kiln. For the final touch, Robin then added a glaze to the tile.
And you can see here, all the shininess is gone, so you think, my gosh, that's really a mess. That's going to take her a long time to clean that up. But it's actually very simple. I'm going to take my sponge, just like on grouting tile, if anybody's ever had that, or mosaic is another common.
Right.
And you see there that that
Wow.
pattern basically pops right back out of there. Couple of little extra swipes.
Look at that. Oh, Robin, that's beautiful.
And that is pretty much ready to go in the kiln. I'm going to fire it up to a temperature about 300 degrees hotter than the first firing. It's going to finish firing the clay body. It's going to melt and fuse all that glaze in the pattern itself, and we'll have a finished tile.
And there you have it, an absolutely beautiful tile. If you're interested in learning more about Robin's beautiful work, you can always go to her website.
SilverCanyonPottery.com.
And you can take one of these home with you, which is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, Robin.
You're quite welcome. It's been my pleasure, Dee Dee.
Are you a crafter on the hunt for your next project? We've got tons of quick and simple ideas for you to try. Just visit athomewithdidiayer.com. You'll find tons of creative projects from my craft room, along with step-by-step tutorials, guest crafters, and 5-minute DIYs. The ideas are as endless as your imagination when you visit athomewithdidiayer.com.